What's up, my cutie pies? So today I'll be talking about the Crazy Rich Asians movie and why I liked it. So recently I decided to read a lot more Asian and Asian American authors, and the first books I picked up was the Crazy Rich Asians series, and to my surprise I actually really loved it. Usually the Crazy Rich Asians like type of story, like the romantic comedy drama type of book, isn't really my thing, but surprisingly I liked it a lot, and I liked it so much, in fact, that during my post book high, I decided I needed more Crazy Rich Asians in my life, so I decided to rewatch the movie. Now, initially, when I watched the movie when it first came out, I thought it was okay. You know, it was just a romantic comedy. It wasn't anything new except for like having an all Asian cast, which I celebrate. I really loved that they decided to do that, and Hollywood actually opened it with, or accepted it with open arms. You know, and really, when I first watched the movie, it was all about voting or talking with my dollar, where I just went to go watch it to show that Hollywood that an all Asian cast is something that people can enjoy and people like. However, the second time watching it, I think I enjoyed it a lot more. Like, there was a lot of things that I appreciated more, and maybe it's because after reading the book and being so attached to the story and the characters, I don't know, I think I just enjoyed it a lot more, and so much so that I would say I really like it. Now, the first thing that I really liked about the movie, and this is true for both the first and second time I watched it, was the first scene, the beginning with Eleanor Young and Nick and Eddie and Astrid's mom, or is it Eddie's mom? I don't remember. It's been a while. But when they go into that hotel, that British hotel, and they ask for the room they reserved, right? And then the British guy is all like hell no, man. What are you guys doing over here? He was kind of being racist, kind of being discriminatory, Traditionally, like in the past, Asians weren't seen as up here. Like, they were seen still as a very poor kind of like people. They were seen as poor people and not as advanced as Western civilization. However, the way Eleanor handles it was like amazing. Like, she's like, "Oh, you think you can discriminate us? Nah, son. I'm gonna call my husband and he's gonna own this hotel." And I'm like, yo, that's really cool, because traditionally you think of Asians as a very passive group, and me growing up, like being a South Asian growing up, I was taught to keep your head down, don't cause any trouble, don't try to talk back. But it was really cool to see like minorities standing up to like the white man. Like, it was kind of cool. Like, you can't just discriminate us. You don't even know who we are. Like, how can you discriminate us? You don't like. And it was like kind of like underestimating them. Like, oh, how can these Chinese people have money? Well, actually they're Singaporean, but whatever. And basically, she calls her husband and she's like, you know what, this bitch is fucking being a piece of shit to us. He's not letting us in the room that we reserved. So what does her husband do? What does her husband do? He fucking buys the hotel, son. That was so sick. And then she goes back. Eleanor goes back and she's like, bitch, I'm here. And he's like, oh, the British guy's like, oh, why are you here? Like, didn't I tell you to leave? Go to the Oriental or whatever, right? That's a hotel. And then all of a sudden the owner of the hotel comes down and greets Miss Young with open arms, and very, very courteous, very kind and polite. And the butler or the concierge is very shocked. He's like, sir, what are you doing? He's like, yo, meet Miss Young. She owns this place now, son. Like, what are you gonna do? Did you disrespect her? Nah, son. She owns you now. So basically, it was like pretty like, I don't know. It was really cool, that the fact that she was able to wield all this power and just show her that just because we're Chinese or just because we're Asian or whatever, you can't discriminate against us. You can't step all over us. You can't tell us what to do. Treat us as equals. Or treat us as equals. I really thought that was cool. And by the way, Michelle Yeoh, right? She was amazingly cast. Like, I think she was perfect. She's elegant, she's beautiful, she's very like stern. Like, she seems very, like, she was a perfect person to play Eleanor Young. And if you read the book, Eleanor Young is pretty influential, pretty powerful, pretty stern. And Michelle Yeoh, again, amazing. Probably my favorite person that they casted. So they casted Henry Golding as Nick Young, and I know that was a little bit controversial because Nick Young is supposed to be a Chinese Singaporean, whereas Henry Golding is, I believe he's British Malaysian. And British Malaysian. But aside from that, I think overall the casting was good. I loved Henry Golding as Nick Young. He really embodied the character, I think. Very charming, very good looking, very cool. You know, he had like a very like chill like vibe to him. Like nothing can hurt him. He was, I think that's how the book portrayed Nick too. Very confident, very like sure of himself, and I think Henry Golding really embodied that, so I really enjoyed him. Oh, Constance Wu as Rachel Chu was a really good choice too. I feel like in the book, I felt that in the book Rachel was very Americanized, and I think Constance Wu did a great job being very American, and you know, reacting to Singapore, being very surprised by how advanced it is. And you know, I think being an Indian guy in Canada, being an Indian Canadian, when I look at India, I feel, oh, like I live in a really good country, and to be honest, India does look kind of poor, but I feel like that view might change if I go to like if I actually go to India and see how advanced it is. I think being a Western, like Asian Canadian or Indian Canadian, I view the East as not as advanced, but you know, I couldn't be more wrong. I feel like Rachel Chu went through the same thing. When she went to Singapore, she's surprised at how advanced it is, how it's how it is actually, how Singapore is actually as good as America or as good as the West or even better. And overall, she's a very likable person. I think like I already liked her from Fresh Off the Boat, so again, it was great to see her again. She did a great job. She again, she did a great job playing Rachel Chu. There's nothing I can say. I think she just, when I watched her on film, I'm like, yeah, that's a Rachel Chu. That's a Chinese American exploring a whole new world in the East. Others I liked was, I liked Jimmy O Yang playing Bernard Tai, because in the book I didn't really think much of Bernard Tai, but I think Jimmy really made the character his own. Like he was like a douche, like just like a really like slimy, sleazy guy, and you know, it really made me like the Bernard character a lot more. Who else did I really like? Awkwafina's Peck Lin. Again, when I read the book, she was nothing like Awkwafina in the movie, but I think Awkwafina made the character her own, and it was again very enjoyable. Ken Jeong was also a great addition to the cast. I really liked him. He's always funny. I've been a fan of him for years, and you know, despite being a minor character, I think he did really well. Overall, casting was good. Nick Santos as Oliver was also good. Yeah, I'm not much of a movie critic, so I don't really know about like acting or like all this stuff. But overall, the characters were enjoyable. The movie was meant to be fun, and I think the characters had a lot of fun and brought a lot of like excitement and a lot of like, I don't know. The actors definitely did their best to make the movie a lot of fun, and they succeeded overall. I guess for the last thing I want to talk about, for the sake of not making this video too long, is I like the fact that the movie became its own thing. Now, when you watch a movie adapted from a book, a lot of fans think, oh, you know, it has to be exactly like the book, it has to be exactly like the source material, or else it's not good. And I don't really agree with that. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the book a lot more than I liked the movie. However, I can appreciate that this movie has an identity of its own. And if you read the Crazy Rich Asian story, you know it ends a lot differently than the movie does. And I'm okay with that. Like, I know the second part, China Rich Girlfriend's in the process of being made, I think. And to be honest, the way the movie ended, I don't know how they're gonna start the exact same way as the book did. But I'm excited to see what they do. I think it's a good thing that they made the changes they did, because it's gonna be like this. The sequels following this, the sequels that are gonna be coming out is gonna have its own identity, and it's gonna be like an alternate universe. I feel huge props to whoever was involved making this movie, and you know, changing it to be a little bit different from the book. Asians can be in leading roles. You can have an all Asian cast and still be a successful movie, and you can have Asians that aren't the stereotypical types of people you see in other movies, right? And I think that's great. Like I feel like the people who made this movie, they intended for this movie to be seen by a lot of people and to break stereotypes of Asian Americans, and I think they did a great job by making this a little bit more PG. I feel like if they did go for the more mature audience, it would cut out a huge portion of the people they're trying to reach. And I gotta respect it for what it's worth. I respect it. Although I feel like they're missing a lot of awesome parts of the book. Overall, I think they did a pretty good job in keeping the important parts of it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Great movie. I think you should watch it. If you have already liked and subscribed, I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. And if you haven't, come on, what are you doing? Support me, homie. Shit. But yeah, that's it. My name is Soul Seiji. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.